You didn't choose your thoughts. Not this morning, not yesterday, not ever. What if the voice in your head isn't yours? Not in a dramatic way, not a conspiracy, just quietly, slowly, over years, someone else's version of reality got so familiar it started to feel like your own thoughts. Your politics, your definition of success, the story you tell about who you are. It feels like you arrived at those things. But what if you were steered? And what if the strangest part isn't that it happened? It's that the systems doing it understand your brain better than you do. Think about this morning. Before you spoke to another person, before you were fully awake maybe, you reached for your phone. And within 60 seconds, your nervous system had already received its daily briefing. What's threatening today? Who to be angry at? What everyone else has that you don't? Who's winning and why it isn't you? You didn't ask for that briefing, but your brain absorbed it instantly because that's what brains do. They're always updating their picture of reality based on whatever comes in first. And someone, somewhere, decides what comes in first, not always to inform you, often to shape you. Step back far enough and something strange appears. The news reaching most people on Earth flows through a surprisingly small number of sources. The stories chosen, the urgency in the tone, the way conflict gets framed. All of it carefully tuned, not necessarily to inform, but to hold attention. And neuroscience explains why it works so well. Your brain is wired to notice threats faster than almost anything else. It kept your ancestors alive. Modern media learned to speak that language fluently, so your day begins with a low hum of tension. Not dramatic, just enough unease in your nervous system to make what comes next feel necessary. Because then you open the feed, and the algorithm has been waiting. It's been studying you for years. Every pause, every extra half second you spent on something you barely remember seeing. It knows what makes you angry, what makes you feel behind, what makes you quietly afraid. And once it knows, it gives you more outrage, more comparison, more of whatever keeps you from putting the phone down. Not enough to upset you completely, just enough to keep you scrolling. Here's the part that sits with me though. The algorithm isn't doing anything your brain doesn't already do. Your brain predicts patterns, seeks confirmation. The algorithm just learned to be better at it than you are. Somewhere along the way, marketing changed. It stopped selling products. It started selling you back to yourself. You don't buy a phone, you buy a signal about who you are. You don't buy coffee, you buy a personality, shoes, cars, subscriptions, aesthetic lifestyles arranged carefully for strangers online, all quietly answering one ancient human question: who am I? And the reason that question is so easy to exploit is because it's so genuinely important. Belonging is a neurological need. Certainty is a neurological need. These systems didn't invent those needs, they just learned to rent them. But none of this started with the internet. Go back further. You were 7 years old in a classroom. A system over a century old started handing you a story about yourself, whether you were clever or struggling, promising or difficult, the kind of child who goes somewhere, or the kind who doesn't. At 7, you don't question the story, you become it. Because the developing brain is extraordinarily open, plastic, hungry for identity, looking for the shape it's supposed to take. Those early stories carve grooves, and years later, when the algorithm finds your insecurity, when the headline finds your fear, when the brand finds your longing, they're not creating those feelings. They're just running along grooves that were already there. But the most uncomfortable question isn't who shaped you. It's where you participated. You scrolled willingly, shared the outrage willingly, bought the identity willingly. Not because you're foolish, because you're human. These systems are engineered precisely for a human brain. They didn't trick you, they just knew you a little better than you knew yourself. And here's the part that quietly changes everything. The same reason your brain was this shapeable is the same reason it isn't fixed. Neuroplasticity isn't just a description of how you got here. It's the door out. A brain wired for reaction can learn stillness. A brain shaped by someone else's story can start writing its own. Not perfectly, not overnight, but deliberately. One genuinely chosen thought at a time. Not by deleting technology, by doing the one thing the entire system quietly discourages. Thinking a thought nobody gave you. Sitting with a question long enough for your own answer to surface. Not the feed's answer, not the headline's answer. Yours. Becoming slightly harder to predict. A little more ungovernable. Forests have been doing something for hundreds of millions of years that we're only just beginning to understand. Beneath the soil, trees are connected through vast underground fungal networks. They share nutrients, send warnings through chemical signals, redirect resources toward trees that are struggling. No algorithm, no engagement metric, no one profiting from their fear. Just one quiet question running through the whole system. What does this need to survive? Human nervous systems evolved in something much closer to that. Slow, dense with life, present. Not the high-speed psychological marketplace we now inhabit every waking hour. So maybe the question isn't how to escape it. Maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just remembering what you are. Not a user, not a consumer profile, not a pattern waiting to be monetized. A nervous system that has been in a very loud room for a very long time. And somewhere underneath all that noise, some of those thoughts might actually be yours. The most radical thing you can do is think a thought that wasn't given to you. It won't trend. It won't go viral. No one's going to reward you for it. But that's kind of the point. Because the moment a thought doesn't come from the system, it stops being automated and starts being you.